the interrogation.
Imagine you're being charged with a crime. You're escorted by 2 hulking humanoid guards to the examination room. You're placed on a large stool in the middle of the room. A table faces you, which sits a group of grim-faced questioners. Light blinds you, leaving their faces shadowed. You're completely exposed as feelings of isolation and a sense of smallness overwhelms. The faces fire off questions so fast, barely giving time for an answer. A head Inquisitor rises from the grim-faced silhouettes to shout,
"Present the implications of its guilt."
He presents incriminating evidence which is false. You get the sense this is all just a formality, and to deny it is useless. A large humanoid, perhaps a cross between an ogre and goblin, comes forth behind the Inquisitor with various instruments of heinous intent hanging from his blood-soaked belt and smock.
Confession time, my lord.
Wait, let us hear what this wretch has to say for itself.
The city jail of the Overlord has no sympathy for the curiosity of prisoners. Entrance to this place is an easy task, but coming out is altogether another matter. You are now a guest of the Overlord and at the mercy of his henchmen. Welcome back to the City-State of the Invincible Overlord Part 2. In this video, I will touch upon the temples and their respective gods and an expansion of the city-state with the Judges Guild Adventure Supplement, Wraith Overlord, Terror Beneath the City-State, referred to by a viewer. Wraith Overlord gives a wide array of detail to the underground of the city-state and its inhabitants, plus plots to entice exploration. A brief look at the sewers and some of the outer wall locations I will cover as well in the video. Only touching on the 3 main temples that are located together in the Square of the Gods will be covered, but there are many more within the city. Temples of Humanoids, Thoth, and Odin are all next to each other but are connected underground via secret passageways. These 3 pantheons are broken down as such. Humanoids, God of death, chaotic evil; Thoth, God of knowledge and learning, chaotic good; and Odin, battle god of knowledge, lawful good. My research into these religions revealed very little except for the contents within these buildings. Loose interpretation from Greek, Egyptian, and Nordic lore was the obvious way to go. The Hellbridge Temple is a subsidiary of the Temple of Thoth, but the interrelationship between the two is minimal because of alignment differences. Morg is a demigod, lord of murder or subjugation, lawful evil, and is the special worship place of the Assassin's Guild. The Eye of Morg, an idol, is a bronze eye covered with gold plate worth 120,000 gold pieces. The idol is the repository of Morg's eye, and legend says it still possesses the power to command should it see unencumbered. Exploring this temple has all the hospitality of a morgue. Back to the main 3 temples are levels of underground passageways interconnecting with an array of terrifying creatures guarding the secrets of these temples and their loot. Relics, ritual rooms, treasure hoards, berserkers, thieves, assassins, escaped prisoners, and a lot of ravenous baboons that seem to be revered by the Temple of Thoth. The baboons are considered sacred to Thoth, so the priests keep a group of the larger variety about to protect the private areas of this temple. These pets will attack anyone not bearing the symbol of Thoth with gang tactics, as if they were in the wild protecting their territory. Berserkers are under the special care of Odin and are dedicated to his service. Their job is protect the priests and the Temple of Odin, at all cost, including their lives. The Temple of Kallixis has a special area for its human sacrifices to demons called Ioka. These demons bear the heads and bodies of snakes. Their forelimbs are like a man's, and hind limbs are bat-like wings that give them flight. Their tails resemble those of scorpions. The temple's depths go 3 levels and house much more dangers than what I listed, but this should give you an idea of how complex they are. All of this can be explored with connections to the assassin and thieves guilds. Spies can be hired by competing temples or by the Overlord himself, using his secret police, called the Black Lotus. Extensive temple maps with encounters are all in this adventure supplement. The sewers. These tunnels stretch from the edge of the burial grounds in the north to Temple of the Spider God in the south, east's despot ruins, and all the way west to the Overlord's warehouse. Correlating with streets and showing offshoot tunnels connected to buildings, the sewer map leaves no room for error. It has no key or descriptions of encounters, which is fine by me. This leaves it wide open to plenty of imagination and have plans for a network of spies and runaway slaves to be in use of these tunnels. I mentioned before about the Overlord's secret police, known as the Black Lotus. The organization will be involved in perhaps trying to find which route the freed slaves have been using and trying to shut it down. The players can choose to be a part of either side in this scenario. Or maybe the goblins from the reservation have been stealing from a various business, and the players hired by the owner need to infiltrate the reservation to retrieve lost loot. The Despot Ruins. This area holds the ruins of 2 ancient fortresses. Above ground, they simply are rubble, but the areas below the surface are still intact. No sign of the builders and original owners remains, however, because the tunnels and catacombs have been taken over by the goblins. They have dug deeper, connected the 2 underground levels, and connected both with the tunnels they have dug into the city-state. The rooms beneath the Despot Ruins are not popular with the goblins, who prefer to dig their own holes, but many goblins live there, nevertheless. The Tomb. The dominating structure in an area long shunned by superstition-ridden villagers and city dwellers is close to the burial grounds outside the city, the center of a wave of undead hysteria that swept through the region roughly a decade ago. The crypts and graves that survived the onslaughts of the frenzied populace still bear the marks of the desecrations inflicted by the mobs in the name of safety and religion. In many instances, entire grave sites vanished altogether when the self-styled ghost chasers and vampire hunters directed the destruction of great numbers of structures and markers, believing themselves and their followers to be safe from the supposed menace of the Nosferatu. Many times these senseless acts were carried even further when the occupants of the graves were unceremoniously hauled out, stripped of all goods, clothing, and valuables, and put to the torch or dismembered and abandoned. By the time the frenzy had passed, the burial ground of kings, queens, and heroes had been reduced by better than 50%, and no definitely proved undead had been brought to the surface. The Watchtower. In earlier days, this watchtower protected the city from bandits who crossed the river to raid the citizens. Its walls were thick, although somewhat low, and its 6 feet wide gate was protected by 2 portcullis. As the power of the city-state grew, the watchtower was no longer needed for defense, but it continued to be used as a home by the Dirhan family. It has been deserted by any remaining members of this family who fled the area years ago. Currently, it's being inhabited by an insane dwarf named Kallixis. If the adventurers should run into him, the outcome will depend on which personality they encounter. One is a raging maniac who hallucinates that a battle is being fought in full force within the tower. The second personality is that of a lost little boy. He will sit cowering in a corner for days on end, crying. It's usually followed by the personality of a lovesick poet who sits at the desk in his room composing ballads. When the real Kallixis returns to himself, he remembers nothing of these escapades and why the furniture is so often found in disarray and where the poems on the desk come from. More detail into buildings and their connection to the tunnels and sewers are here, but the rest of the tunnels and sewers all over the inner city are left up to a DM to fill in.
The Interrogation, Part 2.
When a person is interrogated, he must roll less than or equal to his wisdom on a d20 to avoid incriminating himself. With a simple questioning, this is not difficult, and this save need only be made once, with -1 being added to the die roll. The following is a list of modifiers to apply to the roll. A roll should be made for the Inquisitor's dedication, temperament, and experience.
Let me give him some motivation to confess.
The humanoid hisses, just as a peculiar-looking gentleman comes in the darkened chamber and has a hushed conversation with the Inquisitor.
It appears someone out there cares for you. You are free to go. One more question, if I might ask. Who do you know that has this much interest in your welfare?
You ponder the question, truly perplexed. Was it your friends? They have no money? Or maybe one of the working girls on Hedonist Street you've acquired services from? Perhaps even the Overlord himself heard of the excursion you and your friends made in the marshes and is interested in your exploits. The litigation trickster twirls his mustache and leads you out of the city jail onto the street, leaving you quickly with no answers. This concludes part 2 of City State of the Invincible Overlord. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. There will be more content on the City State through my Ko-fi membership channel in my Discord. If you want to be a member or just tip me, a link will be in the description below. As for now, thanks for watching and have a great time playing the City State.